news came out this week that Coach Pearl won the Coach of the Year award from the coaches. Good pick.
Yeah.
Janai Broom, however, did not get the Player of the Year from the coaches. They sent it to Cooper Flagg from Duke,
Well,
and but Janai wins the Big Man of the Year. So, I mean, I just think that's motivation, more motivation for the Auburn Tigers this week. There's a couple of factors there. Also, that as I mentioned earlier in the week, we lost to Florida on our home court. We lost to Duke on their home court. So there's a little more motivation for the Tigers. I think if there's an intangible factor this week, Kevin, it has to be with the Auburn Tigers.
Yeah, lots of emotion, lots of why aren't y'all respecting us? Let me drop some knowledge on y'all real quick of
please do.
why we think Janai should be the player of the year across the board in most every category. All right. So, for instance, Duke in their conference, in their 18 teams in their conference, 9 of the 18 teams finished 500 or below in their conference. In the SEC, the best conference in America, only 2 of our 16 teams finished 500 or below. Okay. Quad 1 wins. Auburn had 24 games. We went 19-5. Duke had 15. They went 12-3. I think there was a stretch, though, where Cooper Flagg did not play, and Duke did not play a quad 1 game for like a month and a half, 2 months. Auburn has played a quad 1 game since like mid-February. It has not stopped.
Every week.
How can you reward a guy? He's great. He might be the better NBA player, but we're talking about college player. How can you reward? It's based on schedule. He's only playing who he can play. But how can you reward a guy who's playing a schedule like that against a guy who's played the toughest schedule in the SEC or in the country, playing in the best conference, which is the SEC? I don't know how other coaches could see it differently, but that's why we're talking about it.
When you think about the Heisman Trophy, which is what the Wooden Award is, you give it to the best player on the best team, and the player really that if you took them off the team, where would they be? And I don't want to take away from Denver and Tahad and any of the guys, Dylan, any of those guys. But if you take Cooper Flagg off Duke's basketball team, they still have 3 NBA players.
Just look at the ACC tournament when he wasn't playing.
That's exactly right.
They still won the ACC tournament.
I mean,
going away.
It was so arrogant to the fact that they said we don't need him to play. We don't need him to play in those games to win the ACC tournament. So, not to take anything away from anybody on our court, but you take Janai away, and when we did a couple of those games and we still won.
We went 2-0 without him
in the hardest conference in America. But I don't think that, I just think that Janai is the heartbeat of our team. Look what he's done again in the last 2 games, 3 games. He's had triple-double, double-doubles. Yeah. And I don't know what Cooper's whatever.
He's been good, but he hasn't been as outstanding as Janai.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say that when you got the 2 guys there, Flagg and Broom, and one plays for Duke and one plays for Auburn. Coach Pearl mentions that a lot. Like we know what our place is or whatever his little saying is.
Yeah.
But I know he thinks that's not really true, but he says it. And but really Broom's numbers are better than Flagg's, right? And he's playing in a tougher conference and
in a much tougher conference.
Yeah. I guess they built in the head-to-head. Yes, there was a head-to-head loss for Janai over Cooper, but come on, guys. I mean, look at the body of work. Look at this. It's about the whole season. Like Brian said, it's about the Heisman. This is the Heisman of basketball. I mean, come on. What are we not seeing? What is Greg Byrne on this committee or something? I mean, like, what are we not seeing?
and the NBA factor, I think, is a factor as well. Coaches are going to look at that and say he's going to be a top 5 pick in the NBA draft.
Probably the first pick. And another motivational factor is, and let's be honest, it's Duke. If it's Duke, if we get past Florida, when we get past Florida, let's just say that when we get past Florida, we're going to be playing one of the most historic programs in the history of basketball. So if that's not motivation enough, then there is no motivation. That's all you need to say is we're playing. Bruce just needs to wake up and hold up a sign that says DOOK. All right. Duke. We're playing Duke.
Yeah.
And then let them go out and play. That's all
Yeah.
that needs to be said.
Yeah.
If that would be a perfect scenario, if both of us make it, we get that rematch, that motivation, blue blood versus up and coming blue blood. I mean, it would be fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull a Phil Dunphy. I don't know if y'all watch Modern Family, but he
All the
always
time.
TM. He always TMs. I'm gonna say orange and blue blood TM.
There you go.
Maybe we should start Orange Bloods. What do you think?
Orange blood, orange and blue blood
Yeah.
TM.
That would make a nice drink at a bar in Auburn or somewhere.
Right.
But
Orange and blue blood. Give me an orange and blue blood.
the other thing I think about is looking at that list of candidates for the Wooden Award is Clayton Jr. is on there in the top 5.
Yeah.
And Saturday evening, that's a guy that we're going to have to keep the wraps on at least. It's hard to shut him out, but you're going to have to limit his points a little bit and maybe run him off that 3-point line. He's almost as effective going to the bucket, but that's going to be a key, I think, to the game. And I think like Atlanta in the final game in the Elite Eight against Michigan State, we got to get off to that quick start and maybe go to Janai and let him do his thing down low and maybe have some options off of that this time. I know Florida's going to be looking at that tape, but have some options off of Broome and let him kick it back out and hopefully hit some threes off of that. And we've talked about that so many times that in the 16 and the 8 in the Final Four, how key is it to be, on your game and hitting that 3-pointer when you need to hit that 3-pointer? Because we can say what we want. You can talk about big guys all you want, but today's game is basically a game of 3-pointers.
And
That's
right.
I
think,
go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Kevin, but Florida won that game. Florida won that game by hitting threes at the end. And the kid, I can't remember his name. They interviewed him at the end, and he's the one that put Florida's name on the board at the end in the locker room. He hit the big shot, the big three. He's good, but their front court is good. Their back court is good, but they can hit threes all day, and we've got to keep up with it. We've got to keep up with it. And twos might not do the trick. So Miles, Denver to hide. Janai when he takes them, and please be selective when he takes them and hit them when he takes them. Let's we've got to probably shoot 40% from 3-point to keep up with them. But I will say Janai did a great job on the blocks in the paint, and so did Dylan with those two bigs, with Wolf and Vlad or whatever his name was from Michigan. I mean, he basically just destroyed those two guys down low. I mean, Wolf hit some threes, but Florida's big and thick down low in athletic. So it's going to be a game, guys. It's going to be a game.
I mean,
so is Duke.
That point guard of theirs pretty much single-handedly brought them back in and won that game for them against Texas Tech because they were not shooting well. And all of a sudden, he just got hot and said, boys, feed me. And he hit a bunch of threes in a row to get him back in it. And, yes, that's why he's on that list, just like our other two guys we mentioned a few minutes ago, Janai and Cooper. But, Florida's not going to be easy. Like I said, when we played them here at home, we had a 10-point lead early, and then they just went on a 3-point barrage. We just couldn't keep up with it. We ended up losing by 9, but we just couldn't make a run to catch up with them because they kept hitting shots. So I think this time will be different. Our coaches will coach them differently, focus on different things. If we can call a timeout when we need one, and box out, like Brian said, we did a good job. We've done a good job in the March Madness of boxing out, getting rebounds, and not letting so many second and third shots happen because so many teams get that rebound. Even we do get that rebound, kick it out, and someone hits a three because they're open. Everybody's in different positions and they're knocking it down. Let's box it out. Like Brian said too, and Doug, this game has gone to a 3-point game, but we still have a very good inside player named Janai Broome, and we did him great against Michigan State. I mean, the opening tip, we fed it down low, bank shot in. I mean, let's feed. Let's try to get their guys in foul trouble if possible. Let's keep playing great defense on their guards, and let's see what happens. It's going to be a fantastic game.
Yeah. Visiting with Kevin Fichtner and Brian Brinsfield on Tiger Talk Overtime. Glad you're with us tonight to talk about the Final Four and Auburn basketball. We'll be talking a little bit of college football and other topics later on in the show. But I wanted to talk a little bit, guys, about this coaching matchup. We got Bruce Pearl, who has built a pretty good program at Auburn, Coach of the Year this year, according to the coaches, which is a pretty big honor.
Yeah.
And we've got a pupil of his, Golden at Florida, who was the director of operations, I think, at Auburn under Pearl, and then found his own path out to San Francisco and then back to Florida, where he's got one of the top jobs in college basketball. But what is that going to be like? I know they match up in the SEC, but this is a little bit different. You're matching up in the Final Four in San Antonio. What is it going to be like when those guys shake hands before this ball game?
Well, Bruce loves the guy. I know that. And but Todd's had his number. I mean, Todd has had Bruce's number the last 4 or 5 games. So I know we beat him last year in the SEC championship game in the tournament. But other than that, we have not beaten him at Florida since he's been there. And he beat us here this year. I mean, that guy's a good coach. He is smart. He knows how to scheme. He knows how to recruit. Who did he learn that from? Is this, Bruce Pearl. So it's going to be an interesting matchup because Bruce, I think, wants to really win this one because he hasn't done it in a few, games against him. But Todd Golden's got a great team, and so it'll be all strategies. They know each other well. They play each other a lot, but it'll be interesting to see if there's anything different this time around on either side.
But you're also talking about, this goes back almost to the college football playoff and back when it was a 14 playoff, and you're talking about a lot of pressure now. So you've got a younger coach, a couple younger coaches, even the coach at Duke. I mean, he just took over for Coach K a couple years ago, and Bruce has been around for 78 years.
The only way I look at it is Kelvin and I have fewer chances to get where we are right now, whereas John Shire and Todd Golden will be back here many more times. So Kelvin and I better take advantage of it this time, because we're clearly on the back nine. I'm not on the 18th hole yet, but we're getting closer. And so, Todd and John don't give up anything in experience. They just give up a little bit, and they don't have as much gray hair, and they may not have been beat down as much as Kelvin and I have been over the years.
It may be the wisdom factor and who can control the nerves of his players. Golden hadn't been there, to my knowledge, and so the wisdom factor and who can just calm his players down and say, okay, this is what we're going to expect, and not get rattled. And if we do get rattled, then get them in the huddle and calm them down there. And control, like we talked about, control the timeouts, use timeouts to our advantage when we need them if things start going south. Because momentum in basketball is a huge deal. I mean, you have runs in basketball unlike any other sport, and if you can control those runs with timeouts or fouls. So knowing when to do those things is key, and Bruce has the wisdom and the experience to do those.
Yeah, and like you said last week in Atlanta, when Broome was gone, he was, instead of substituting, he was going to call timeouts to kind of rest his big guys at certain times. But what you said, Brian and Kevin, it makes me think of going back to the Michigan game. And I think what Auburn has to do is that little spurt we had in the Michigan game in the second half, we got to play free. Yeah. We got to play free. I don't want to say freelance on offense, but you've got to allow your guys to do their thing and make their plays because we have so many talented players. I just think that's a big key when you get to this point. You can't play tight. And maybe Florida's a little bit tight. Like you said, Brian, they hadn't been there before. We haven't been there that many times, but maybe they're a little bit tight. Maybe we're a little bit tight. That'll be interesting to see the scenario there at the beginning of the game.
None of these players have been there, but when I knew that we were going to come back, and I knew it when we were going to come back at the Michigan game, was when Denver did the behind the back layup.
Yeah.
When he did the behind the back layup, I said, okay, we're back to middle of the season playing basketball. Now, I will say this. If CBM throws one more behind the back, no look, dribble backwards pass out of the back of his head, then I may lose my mind. But when Denver did that, 360 around the back layup, and then Tahad just kind of, it looked like he was playing ball in New Jersey on a pavement. And man, that's exciting to see and fun to see, and it gets the guys going.
Yeah.
The energy was there,
and the crowd going.
and the crowd going.
Yeah. And that's
I was gonna
that's
say-
the kind of thing. Yeah, I was just going to say, Kevin, that's the kind of thing I think about when you think about the Final Fours and the championship games. Those are the kind of things that win those games. Those little plays, those individual plays. A guy gets hot from three. Something like that's going to win these ball games.
Yes. I mean, when we went on that 17-0 run against Michigan State, pretty much over. I mean, we led wire to wire, but that 17-0 run was massive. I mean, we had 3-pointers, we had dunks, we had and ones, we had, layups. And like y'all said, I know one person that's going to be playing free, and that is Chad Baker Mazar. I mean, he was doing behind the back passes to guys on a fast break and this, that, and the other. So maybe complete a couple of those. Chaney's kind of had butterfingers the last two games. He let two slip through his hands, I believe, against Michigan. Let's get those this time. He's got big fingers. He's got big hands. Let's get those and finish them this time. But it's all about runs. It's all about getting your crowd excited. If your crowd is excited, you're going to go on a run. I really want to see Miles Kelly get hot. We ain't seen him get hot since Lexington.
Yeah.
He's got it. We know he can do it. We'll see him get hot. If he could hit 3 threes in a 5-minute stretch or 3-minute stretch, man, what that would do to open up the inside, that would be fantastic. It would be more one-on-ones on the inside for Janai and whoever's down there if he gets hot. We know what Taha is going to do. Denver's capable of doing it too. But, man, I mean, Miles is our sharpshooter. He's our Wesley person, our Chuck person.
Yeah.
If he get hot, it would be fantastic.
Well, Kevin, you mentioned the run and the 17-point run that allowed us. That Michigan State came back and had a 7-0 run or something like that, a 9-7-0 run, but that 17-0 run allowed us to give up maybe a 7-0 run and still have the position to still come back or still have the distance to win.
Kind of put them behind the 8 ball right off the bat. And the other thing I think about that you got to do to win these ball games, guys, is you got to control that end of the game like we didn't do the other night in Atlanta. You've got to have your strategy. You got to execute your strategy. We've got Chad Baker Mazar. We've got Denver Jones. Tahad is pretty good, at the free throw line. We got to get the ball in the hands of those guys. We've got to get to the free throw line, and we've got to execute and make those free throws when it counts.
I guarantee you the coaching staff worked on end of game scenarios, in the game inbounds plays this week, and they'll continue to do that when they get to the Alamo Dome. But what I'm interested in is we've been lucky enough to have decent leads in these games in the tournament. The Michigan State game is the only game we didn't win by double digits. Can we hit free throws if it's 62-62 with 30 seconds to go? We were at home against Bama and Janai missed 2 against Bama. So can we do that in clutch time? Can we do it when we need it? Not when we're up by 8, we can go 1 for 2, but can we hit those free throws and get it in the guys' hands that need to be shooting the free throws when there's a tight game?
Yeah. And even in Atlanta, to your point, Kevin, I think it was at the end of the game and we throw the ball in to Janai Broome. We can't make those mistakes against Florida or Duke or Houston.
He can't handle the ball on throw in from inbounds at the end of the game. It's, Coach Pearl calls it special teams, and I think a lot of them do. But they have a special teams coach, and it's the inbound stuff. Those special teams coming in, throwing the ball inbounds, and coming off a timeout. Those are special teams plays that they call them. And the other point we hadn't really talked about is defense, and I think we've got as good of a defensive team as anybody in the 4. Duke is good defensively, but so are we, especially around the boards. We're one of the number 1 teams in the country with blocks. We just got an innate ability to find the ball with our hands around the rim to block it, and then we've got one of the best defenders on the ball with Denver. And when the energy's up, CBM's good, Tahad's good, Miles is good. So it's going to be a good weekend.
Yeah. And we've got, like you mentioned, Denver, and we've got Dillon, who are really good defensive players. And Kevin, I think you mentioned earlier in the week, when those guards from you. I think you mentioned Arkansas, and then Creighton when we played them. When they kind of or Trey Donaldson, whoever it is, when they kind of open their mouth during the game, first half or whatever, in the second half, yeah, I still don't know what that means, but we kind of shut them down in the second half of play. So our defense obviously can step up, and they need to step up and do that the whole game this weekend.
40
Yeah, I mean,
minutes.
we have great defenders. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I'm surprised a couple of our guys aren't up for defensive player of the year, but I guess it's more of a team thing. But yes, we can play many styles. We can run with teams, or we can slow things down with teams. But one thing that we can rely on when we're going through a bad stretch is our defense. If we're not hitting a shot for 3 minutes or so, we can rely on our defense for to get rebounds, to box out. To how many times have we seen it this year and recently? The guys will get a layup of the team, and then Dylan or somebody's tracking it down and swatting it off the backboard or swatting it out of bounds. I mean, they're trailing, they get burned, but they make up for it with their length. I mean, there have been some fouls that have been called, but so many fouls have not been called because they're doing it clean.
Kevin, give me your thoughts going into this one. A big game with Florida and Clayton Jr. on Saturday, and then hopefully we've got the finals on Monday. How do you see this Final Four shaking out?
Well, I know I'm biased, but I think we get our revenge Saturday against Florida. And fellas, if we go to the national championship game, my wife and I, we're going to get in the car. We have a soccer tournament this weekend in Birmingham. We're getting in the car on Monday, 4:30 in the morning, 5 in the morning, and we're going to San Antonio. We're going to find tickets. We're going to find a way in. We'll find a way to sleep somewhere else, but we're going to San Antonio when we make that national championship game.
Yeah.
I think we'll be there. And our tech stream will be strong this weekend between the three of us, and it'll be interesting to see. But I think we'll be there on Monday night. I'll be in a hotel again in Knoxville, Tennessee, watching it from there, or
with all your friends.
With all my friends, every single one of them. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a blast. But I really do think we'll get past Saturday, and I'm going to take every piece of Auburn clothing and toboggan, and
I'm wearing my coat, baby. I'm bringing it back out.
Oh my gosh,
my bucket hat for good luck.
I'm going to bring whatever I can and show up at whatever sports bar I can and with all the Tennessee fans, and say, here I am.
Yeah. I think if we can keep Clayton Jr. hopefully under 20, but maybe under 25, and our guys can, each one of them, like I said earlier in the week, can step up just a little bit. Dylan, a couple more points. Chaney, a couple more points. Chad Baker, a couple more points. Denver, Tahad, Miles, I think is a huge key, like we said.
Miles. Come on, Miles.
He's got to make some threes for us. He's got to have that, maybe a streak in the first half, maybe a streak in the second half. I think we can beat Florida, and I think we're going to play Duke, like I said the other night, for the national championship, and we're going to get revenge, and Auburn's going to win their first national championship in college basketball Monday night.